Is up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, day traders, closet swing traders. Hope you guys are doing absolutely fantastic. Hope you guys are doing better than the SPY. Hope you guys are doing better than the Qs. And I hope you guys are ready for another crazy day in the market. You guys are all piling in. Good morning. We got Albert in the house. We got Brian up and early. We got Cedric is with us. We got Chad, Doug. Good morning. My girl Gina, we got Jenny, we got GW, Jay, Jeremy's in the house, we got Jill, Joe, Jose, Carrie, Lawrence, Marcus, Michael, good morning. We got Mrs. Woodshed. Ooh, that's the first time. That's the first time. I think that's a new name. We got the missus in the house. Now it's going to be a good day. Good morning. We got Natalie's with us. We got Peter. Quantran is with us. We got Sam, T-Flow, Tanya, Tony, Yasser. We got Maloney joining us. Oh, yeah. We got Jerome Nelson's here. We got Ernesto in YouTube land. It's going to be a good day. I feel the energy. I feel the energy already. All right. So let's first let's look at Roku since I have it on my screen, just in case anybody wants to pour money into Roku today. Probably not a good idea. Here's our monthly chart. Right. So here's our monthly chart. This is right now $44 on a monthly basis. We are pretty much sitting at most likely close to all-time lows. We're not there yet, but it is low. They missed pretty horribly. Long term, I don't know how well Roku is going to survive, to be honest, but there should be some kind of price. I mean, they still keep losing money. So until that happens, I'm not going to touch that for the long term. I just don't know. I quite frankly don't really understand Roku, but if you're going to play it as a day trade, I would look at it as more of a retest gap because it is down a lot. I wouldn't be holding for that long of a time, though. You'd probably be looking for about $46, $47 if you want to play a quick retest. You have some kind of longer term support out there, so just play that how you see fit. But I probably won't touch it. I don't really see a reason to play it long because there's only a few dollars in it. But again, we just kind of had that one up on the screen, so they did report. QCOM is another one that did report as well, and pretty much the same story. Took a loss, down a lot. Those two should both be some type of retest gap if you're playing those. Where is the SPY real quick? The SPY. Let's go into a smaller time frame on the SPY. Let's do a 15-minute time frame just to cover what exactly happened yesterday. Jerome Powell. So for anybody that's not familiar with what happened yesterday or did not tune in yesterday, the Fed came out. They did raise the basis point to 75%. That was expected. The markets took it well. We had this big green candle out of the gate. He even had some dovish wording in the report that he put out. The market said, wow, this is good. Then right around here, this is 2:30 exactly. This is when Jerome Powell steps up. Okay. You got some little bit of nerves in the market. You're giving back all the gains. During this part, Jerome Powell is actually holding up pretty well. He's hawkish. We said yesterday he probably had to be coming out a little bit hawkish, but even that, he was sprinkling it with some dovishness. We started to get some kind of a decent run in right here. Actually, it was toward the very end of this candle. He had a reporter ask him a question. I would say he was doing actually fairly well. We were back to pretty much where we started. Market would have survived. We would have looked good yesterday. Right at the ending of this candle right here, a reporter asked him about stocks and bonds. And not only was the question just horribly timed, but it was not even a factual question. If you go back to, it was probably about 40 minutes into the entire Fed conference, the reporter asks him, he says, it looks like the market is responding positively and moving up based on the 75-point basis hike. And he was essentially asking him, like, do you want stocks to go up? The reporter only saw this part of it. He only saw that stocks were going up there or in this time frame. We were actually down. So the markets were when the reporter asked that question. This is, if you go back, it's about 40 minutes in. This is when Jerome Powell turned all. He just went off script and was essentially going absolute hawk mode, talking about stocks and bonds, and essentially that they're going down. And that's everything else. We had everything else built in yesterday onto this market, except for just push it. You just came out, you poked the bear, and the markets are paying for it. It was so close. It was so close because honestly, if he could have walked away, if Jerome Powell could have walked away from the raising the 75-point basis hike, we were just in some kind of just no man's land, just trading sideways. Jerome Powell would have loved it, right? I don't think he minds this, to be honest, either. But there was about 7 more minutes left of the conference. We could have just avoided that one question that just Jerome Powell going full on bear. We will probably be going lower at this point because there's no more Fed meetings that is going to correct it. I don't see the Fed putting out a statement. That being said, though, today will be a retest gap, right? So some people, I did it, Tony did it, a bunch of real life traders. We actually got some puts right at the top, which was phenomenal. Either here, some of you guys are even better than I did. I got some puts right here. We flipped it. They were up like, anyway, mine I sold again too soon. Where did I sell mine? I think I sold mine somewhere around there. 78, I was up like 500. Tony was holding some till like 800%. We could have all held for a lot more, but we don't get greedy. We don't want to get greedy. But yeah, so there is still some puts in the market. There are some people still shorting. There's been some people shorting. This will most likely today be some type of retest gap. Michael Stanley says, Algos and Hopium reading that report, really thinking the Fed would pivot. That was where he came out, and from any dovishness that he could possibly have said that we're doing good, we're doing all this, he came out and essentially said, we are nowhere close. Like this is the line. We are nowhere close to being done raising rates and to our target goal. Did not sit well. He was so close. Oh, he was right there. Good efforts, J Pal. So we still have 20 minutes, so I have time to get into it. I think we should, but CPI next week. Trying to short the retest, but thinking about how to manage CPI. CPI will definitely still play a factor in the markets in terms of inflation. It will still be heavily watched, and it would definitely cause a reaction in the market. After the comment that Jerome Powell has said, it won't matter as much as the previous CPI. I do think we get a big move. We almost tanked off the face of the earth On the last one, I think we still get some kind of a move. I just don't think, I think Jerome Powell essentially saying that even at this point, we're nowhere close to stopping to raise rates, to having some type of pivot, anything like that. Now I think it's priced in a little bit more that we just keep on raising heights, and we know we have raising rates, and it almost doesn't matter what the CPI is because we know we're not even close yet. So the only thing that would really benefit is a really, really good CPI. But even if we have a good CPI, then we're still like, okay, well, Jerome Powell's just literally said we're not close yet. So we could have a good CPI all we want, but we probably still get some more rate hikes. So it will play a factor because obviously, especially if it's bad, that's going to be like, all right, well, it's like the groundhog sort of shadow and we get 6 more months. We got Qs. Qs look gross. But again, as much as the market might freak out right at the beginning, right at the open, let's flip this over to a daily. As much as we might freak out, who was it? Natasha? Somebody that was holding some, I think they were holding SPY calls or shares closed toward the end of the day. I'm happy they did that. We got the Qs. So the Qs again, if we dip a little bit, watch on the Qs because we're pretty awfully low. Watch on the Qs for somewhere around this. I'm going to call it really it should be about 261.95-ish, somewhere in that zone. I'll call it 262. If we start breaking 262 or 261.90, that's the last pivot that should be retested. This is a retest gap. So my guess is either we dip a little bit further into that 262 zone at open, and that should be our bounce spot today, or we just fly up higher, we retest, and then at some point we come back down to do another retest. But believe it or not, we're still in a safety zone where we could get some kind of a bounce out of here. That 262 has to be retested. We're getting very, very close to it. So most likely we get some kind of just panic freak out at the open. Watch that 262 zone. That's our last stance as a bull, as Bull Nation. That's going to be it. As soon as we start getting bars that close under 262 and really 261, 261.95-ish, 261.90, we probably head lower. I think this is a gap that has to most likely retest. And we'll probably either retest or just have some kind of sideways trading day, slow moving, potentially something like that. But at the open, I do expect some type of volatility. Most stocks are probably going to look like the SPY and the Qs today. Lucian says we all have to remember this analysis next week when the market starts to have some bullish days. Yeah. Don't forget, again, we've said this a lot, like this could happen and most likely will happen, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that this big rapid move going bullish happens first. So what I'm doing is I'm just watching how far things can go when they start to look like they've gone too fast. We just went in the last few days in the market, last probably week and a half. We just had crazy bullish runs, not so much on Amazon. So of course I'm on the one with the worst example, but even that one ran decent. It doesn't mean that the bearish move is quite over yet. There's still a bigger macro picture that we'll probably lean on. It's the same thing as day trading. We could tell a lot from a 3-minute chart. We could move off a 3-minute chart. We could flex off a 3-minute chart. But in the bigger picture, the hourly chart is more important than a 3-hour. The monthly is more important than so until the macro stuff gets cleared out, and it's really until that pivot comes, which now we know, we're on our own. We're on Gilligan's Island by ourselves, team. Amazon. So Amazon's actually not doing as bad, I guess. Or at least we're not gapping down on Amazon. It does look weak. Watch for a retest of like 94.25. That should be the retest spot. And then we probably plummet. So especially if the market wants to come back, at least Amazon's not gapping down. Apple is gapping down. now from yesterday's day trade, for you guys on YouTube, we attempted a day trade. We got out for a very small win. And then it did hit our 3R target, and now we'd probably be at 16, 17 Rs by now. It's crazy. Jesse says Amazon already had its bed, so rest of market is catching up. Oh yeah, Amazon's sleeping now. Amazon was an overachiever, really. Chad says I show pre-market low 262.31. That's for the Qs. Yeah, I don't have the pre-market on, just where it's at now, but that would be a spot. So you got kind of close to that 262. Again, you might have what I call the workforce coming home yesterday going, I thought they promised me a pivot. What happened to my pivot? And you might get a little just volatility, couple candles, freak out sell, and ultimately I think we don't go short at open. And if we miss a whole bunch of trades because we don't go short at open, it is what it is. But that's my plan, at least. Try to find, and 10 EMA is going to be a little tougher because you have to have the extended and non-extended hours all matched up together. My guess is for the non-extended hours, at least, and probably both, but non-extended hours, we're going to be on the bearish side, meaning that we can only really go bearish right out of the gate. And I don't think I want to go bearish. I think I want to go bullish. So we'll kind of play it out candle by candle. All right, we got Apple. Apple at least is at some kind of a support. I do. Yeah, this is probably the last support. This is going to be the spot that kind of has to hold. Technically, this VPOC here was the retest of that one. This is the only one that, even this one did get retested already. This one is not going to be as strong as I would have thought. But again, retest gap. Expect for these gaps to fill. You do have a little bit of support. Doesn't have to fill all the way. No. Could we see a day like CPI? Anything is possible. And by that, I mean where we just gap down massively on everything and then just rally up to all-time highs. Anything is possible. I don't see that happening today. But again, find me one person that saw that happening on that day too. So just stay nimble, but these should be retests. Again, I think now we have pretty much the direction from the Fed. The Fed essentially saying that stocks are not going higher. And any type of rally, probably at least worst case, comes back for some kind of retest. Here's one down here on NVIDIA. 113.35, I think, is in the cards. I just don't think today. But this one, again, wait for the retest. That will be our short opportunity. And we're going to have to be a SOH day today. Sit on hands, most likely at open. And that being said, that's using its 10 EMA strategy, which we're using throughout 2022. But it doesn't mean it's the only strategy in the world. So if we see some other trades, if I see anything and I can take anything else that's not 10 EMA, or if we let some of these gaps, look at this bearish engulfing candle. I mean, AMD just cannot get a break. That was their break yesterday morning when they reported actually decent earnings, and then the entire market dumps. Bad timing, AMD. Read the room. Read the room. All right, we got Tesla. So again, we're going to get down into some of these spots that are retests. 206.26 is the big one. Lucy says engulfing most. Yeah, AMD. It's don't you forget about me. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I got 6, and I think there's a little one in here. So that's about 7. Just absolutely decisive. AMD will probably go lower. Again, wait for that retest. I think that retest comes. That's what I'm waiting for, and then we're going to try to take it. We're going to try to take it lower. We're going to go back to the long-term trend, not the short-term trends. Could we get some kind of a bounce here at open on Tesla? Of course, that is a retest gap. We are sitting in a little bit of support. Again, I would be expecting this one. Keep in mind where this developing VPOC will move throughout the day. But if we get an open down here, that's now 1, 2, I think this is our third, maybe even fourth in a row. We had a very big VPOC resistance somewhere at 228. Eventually this one will have to retest 233. I don't think that happens today. Yeah, I'd probably be looking for a retest, maybe we could go really crazy retest and get into like almost 219 on Tesla, and then we fade. That would be an interesting spot. But yeah, gap down should be a retest. We have a little bit of support that we could probably call the spot for a retest. Hector says, sorry, I'm late to the bear party. As long as you got balloons with you, it's all good. We'll let it pass. Here's one that looks still a little bit different than the rest of the market. My boy Boeing. What? Here's a company just straight up disconnected from reality. It's almost like they tried out the metaverse first. We're wearing the bear outfit. For whatever reason, out of a decent sell-off yesterday, Boeing actually still remained positive. We have VPOC above the downtrends. We are still sitting at that VPOC. If we break through it and then the market wants to actually even come through a retest, that should be enough for Boeing to pop through. We came through, we tested this VPOC already. We almost tested this one. We still have a few more up there. This one technically would be a retest gap to the bear side and then maybe look long on Boeing. I don't know what to make out of that one. It's not doing anything the same the market's doing. Boeing has some relative strength in it. First Solar also had a green candle yesterday. SPY we covered. Pin interest still chugging along. I think they had a couple investors help to try to push this thing out of the gutter, but this one does look like the rest of the market. Coinbase sitting at $60 a share. Not a great close for the base of coins. Yesterday, we actually closed below key levels on the VPOC. Next level to retest, probably see $56. This one looks a little bit more shortable, almost at open. We're sitting actually below some other key areas as well. So yeah, I would be looking for a short on Coinbase. Ron, just do or if you just have a question, you can ask me because this is gonna be me that answers. But it's support@reallifetrading.com. But if you need help with anything, just shoot me, just let me know. PayPal retest gap. So again, gap down looks kind of very similar to the rest of the market. Melly, they report earnings tonight, I believe. Again, kind of looks like the rest of the market. Square, I think Yates and Jeremy were covering Square in the afternoon room yesterday. Not a great gap for Square. When's their earnings? Is that today as well? What's today, the 3rd? So yeah, you got earnings on the 3rd today. Not bad, not bad. But yeah, we got earnings on the 3rd. So that should be tonight, I believe. Otherwise, not a great gap. I'd be looking for probably about 51.90 will hit on Square. That could happen even prior to earnings coming out. And then after earnings, who knows? I don't foresee a good earnings from Square today. I just don't. Hector says, so glad I got some puts last week to protect the shares. As always, not enough puts. That's easy to say in hindsight. Yeah, during this run up in the market, I definitely didn't have enough calls. During every single downturn, I've never had enough puts. I don't know what enough is. Really, I'm still struggling to figure out what is enough. If it's in the correct direction, it's enough. If I have one contract of Airbnb and it goes in the wrong direction, that's too many. I can figure out too many really quickly. It's the enough that I struggle with. How many is too many? Yeah, it all depends if it's working or not. Yep. The markets are crazy because if you get something right, if you're like sitting here on Airbnb buying puts and this happens, you're like, oh, I'm so right. Why didn't I put the entire account on my, like, I'm like a genius. I might be a genius. I'm going to print out my own certificate that says I'm a genius and post that on my wall because I'm nailing this market. And then if you're the guy buying calls up here, you could have one call and you're like, I'm the biggest dummy in the whole world. Why did I? Man, I bought too many. I got one. That's just how it works. Jose says, I think Microsoft needs some upside relief. Microsoft. Yeah, probably at open. If anything, this one looks real bad. To be honest, I mean that's not a VPOC area. The only thing that could save Microsoft at this point is the fact that that was capitulation Wednesday. You already have Microsoft starting to break down. Gross. I do think this one has to retest 225.23. I think that's going to be the relief if we get any upside, which might only realistically come from the fact that that's where we did bounce before. That's the basket we're going to sit in. But otherwise, yeah, that would look like a pretty phenomenal short at 225. Or if this thing starts breaking, that's not going to be good for the. That's going to look soft for Microsoft. Thomas Wong says, because we trade, we often forget that for pretty much the rest of the population, the indexes, if you make any money to the downside, you're already beating pretty much. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, think about that. Anybody that had a put ever in the markets, for the most part, if you make $1, it's usually $1 more than most people have made on that down day. Because a lot of people are just sitting in 401ks, mutual funds that are just going long for the most part. They're playing the upside and get very confused. You can make money to the downside. But what I'm not confused about, and unfortunately, I wish I was a little more cloudy on this, but there's only 10 more seconds left. So I do have to let everybody in YouTube land know it is about that time. I got to let you go. I do appreciate you. Love you guys for joining me each and every morning. We will see you guys all tomorrow. Don't forget on the way out to please hit that little thumbs up button and make sure you subscribe. Get on the invite list for tomorrow as well. It's going to be another fun day tomorrow. So make sure you guys hit that little thumbs up and subscribe on the way out. I appreciate all you guys. Stay safe out there in the drone.